Today's episode of the WAC Podcast is presented by Hercules Tires. Now here's your host, Eric Danner.
Welcome to the WAC Podcast, or welcome back to the WAC Podcast. I'm Eric Danner, along with Rachel Lee Hill. We are now joined by UTRGV men's basketball coach Lou Hill. Coach Hill, first off, thanks for joining us on the podcast. We're going to get into all kinds of topics today, but first off, wanted to see how your Father's Day went.
Father's Day went good. I was on the road for most of it. Went to watch a basketball game, watch my son play, and then in Austin, then got on the road and came back and had a little nice family gathering at home.
Are sports kind of starting back up down in Texas then?
Yes.
Gotcha.
It might close down quickly because the numbers are going back up.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, here in Colorado, there's nothing going on, but I do know, I have family members across other different states, and sports are starting to start back up. So it's interesting to see how long they're going to last.
Yeah. So we'll see. And we gambled. I do my research, but I don't live in fear, but we live in cautious. So we was trying to, and the tournament did a good job of taking precautions, and we did our own. So just put it in God's hand and know where, and just go with it.
Well, Coach, that was the last time we got to see you, was back in WAC Vegas in March when this whole pandemic started. You guys were the number 2 seed. You had won 8 out of 10. You were hot. You won that overtime game against California Baptist heading into the tournament. It's obviously a big disappointment that you didn't get to play out and see how the tournament turned out. But obviously, we're all in the same boat, and nobody got to see how things turned out. How did you address that with your team, and how have you guys handled that as a team, missing out on that opportunity to finish out their season?
It is what it is, right? Everybody went through that. But I just felt bad for my seniors, of course, because we were playing at a really high level, and we thought we had an excellent chance. And actually, my 2 seniors were really playing really good at that time, Leslie Bonner and Jordan Jackson. So I just felt bad for them, and then just how emotionally they were when they got the news. But we all understood safety's first.
How did you tell the team, or did they already kind of have an idea that the tournament was pretty much going to shut down?
Well, when they read the NBA and all the other leagues was shut down, I told them quickly, but they knew. Everybody on social media, especially at that time, everybody was watching and watching and watching. So, but they handled it. We went through adversity all year last year. So that was just another adversity moment and a moment of growth for our team eternally. So.
Coach Hill, looks like you're in your office there at UTRGV. I'm at my house in Colorado Springs. Rachel's in Denver. I imagine you've been doing a lot of these Zoom meeting type of things. As far as on campus, what are you allowed to do now? Are you allowed to do some workouts, or players starting to trickle in? What's the status of things there in Edinburgh?
No, really, they just brought us back to campus last week, and we're doing alternating days. Men basketball is Monday, Wednesday, and we're doing alternating Fridays, so we got an orange and gray group. But none of our kids are here on campus.
What are the talks for the Falls? I know things are kind of planning to go according to regular plan with some remote options available.
Well, we're bringing our guys back July 15th. Well, we live in a day-to-day society right now, so we're planning on bringing our guys back on the 15th. So to see how it goes, they're bringing football teams back, and I see a lot of kids having it. But with what was going on, and a lot of people gonna have it. So I'm just I'm anxious to see who on my team has it or don't have it. Hopefully no one has it. But if they do, we got protocol to handle the situation.
And Coach, if people are listening or watching, they might pick up on your New York accent a little bit. Maybe it's not as thick as it might have been 20 years ago, but obviously you're from New York, a state that was hit very hard by the COVID pandemic. Were you personally affected, friends, family back in New York?
Yes. A lot of friends and family had it, and didn't lost some older, mentor type people to death. Because they were sick already, obviously, but just friends and family that just had to just go through it. So by the grace of God, they're all okay right now.
Well, Coach, obviously sending our prayers to you, your family, all your loved ones. And then, during this pandemic, I feel like we all picked up new hobbies, right? Where we all tried to find ways to entertain ourselves. And I know that you decided to read The Dinosaur Who Lived in My Backyard on social media. So how did that even kind of come about?
Well, the school did it. We were going around saying, let's do something different. So they was talking about reading. And obviously, I just went first and came up with the idea. My daughter got the book. Obviously, that was one of her favorite stories. And she came up with the whole scheme of her and I doing it. Well, I wanted her with me because it was her favorite book. So nobody else was doing it. So we set the standard of, like, I brought her in. We kind of even dressed her like that was all her idea. She put on her mother's sweatsuit jacket that matches mine. So, and then I wanted her to read it because she was so excited about the opportunity to do it. So.
Classic father-daughter time. I mean, how much does that mean to you as a dad?
It meant a lot to me, just doing something together with her. And it's her being her the idea and her trying to control everything, the camera, had my wife videotaping it, and, and she did all the spices, and then we sent it to Jonah, and he did a little more, but she basically ran the show, her and my wife. I was just there.
Well, what a great idea, Coach. We talked to Jonah about that a few weeks ago on the podcast, and one of those things that you wouldn't normally have done in any other time, but it's been well received. I know Commissioner Jeff Hurd participated in the reading now, so you started something, Coach.
Well, we started it. I didn't start it by myself, so.
Well, Coach, we talked, Rachel and I, in our first segment, starting to see some players from around the WAC sign contracts overseas. I saw Dejan Davis signed with a team in Turkey from CBU, and also Jordan Giles, who played at Kansas City, signed in Luxembourg. You mentioned your two seniors, Leslie Varner and Jordan Jackson, and they were having very good seasons. Where is their status? Are they looking at playing overseas? Or, normally this time of year we would have the NBA draft usually, I think, about this time of year, and then you'd see guys start signing overseas or more. What's their status?
Well, I haven't spoken to Jordan. I spoke to Leslie last week. Their status is good, though. They're just waiting to see what happens, whether it's G League overseas. They just want to play basketball, and they'll have the opportunity to play somewhere afterwards, whether it's NBA, G League, or overseas. But nothing has happened right now. It's just really slow, because of, obviously, the pandemic, and then we'll see where we are with that. Isaiah Fontaine signed in Finley, so our other third senior. So we're excited about that. But them two guys, they won't have a problem of signing anywhere to play.
Coach, as you're putting together a schedule for next season, I know you have a couple games going at the Bert Ogden Arena. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing that right. Do you know which games yet, or what are you expecting the atmosphere to be like?
Well, I think it's going to be great. We played one there the year before last. We played University of Oklahoma. Coach Kruger came back and opened up the arena for us there, and it was exciting. Great crowd, great atmosphere. And I think it's going to be the exact same thing this year. We're playing Corpus Christi, a doubleheader with our women, which I think is exciting. And then we're going to play New Mexico State there.
That will be fun.
But if we can move it up to about 5 games a year, 6 games a year, I think it could be good. 3 conference games, 3 out of conference games. I think it'll be really exciting for the fans around here and for the WAC fans as well that comes here.
We're talking with Coach Lou Hill from UTRGV. Will be heading into his 5th season as head coach. Back on June 5th, Coach, you sent out a tweet that you could no longer remain silent in the wake of George Floyd's death. What kind of response did you get to that tweet? And it seems like it really kind of opened up a lot of dialogue there.
Well, when I first wrote it, I wrote it just to the campus and sent it to a few of my friends, and they was like, you need to get that out to people. Because I just wanted it internally, but then when people started saying, no, send it out, tweet it, and then I called Chase and we talked about it. And Jonah and those guys did a good job of sending it out. And the response has been overwhelming in the good part, But I'm usually one that doesn't bite my tongue too much when it comes to a cause that needs to be heard. I don't fight every fight, but the ones that needs to be fought out, I'll get in there.
Coach, it's obviously a tough subject matter, but what do you think some people still aren't understanding about this matter?
It's still going on. The race car driver just had a noose found in his garage at the Talladega. So I just think, I mean, it's been going on for years and years, so nothing surprises me, you know. So, but I hope change will happen this time. Laws has to change, legislature, you know, so we have to, you know, things like that has to change for it to be a change. But we have to learn to have healthy, tough conversations with one another and be great listeners. But we have to put things into action. We can't just talk, right? We got to put things into motion.
And Coach, you started your coaching career in the South, at South Alabama. You also were an assistant coach at UNLV, where there's talk there about they took a statue down and possibly changing the nickname. Were these things that you thought you would see maybe even 6 months ago? It wasn't even being talked about.
No, I'm glad. You know, anything that is for racism or depression or slavery in that matter needs to be taken down. You know, we need to live in an equality world, you know, a world where, like I told you before, I don't want anything special. I just want to be treated equally. So I think a lot of people are feeling the same way.
There was an article, Coach, that you did with Chase Conk and Dr. Guy Bailey. Where did this idea about opening up dialogue from the UTRGV standpoint really come from?
Dr. Bailey started it, but Chase and I started it as well within the athletic department, and Dr. Bailey was already on board with it. So I think it was a combination of it all together. You know, Dr. Bailey, obviously he's the president, so he has to do it. And Chase approached me. I was going to approach Chase, but he approached me about it, which was really fantastic for me as an African-American man, you know, that your AD will come directly to you. And he did it before I got to him, which it was, as soon as I sat down, I was going to get to him, but he was already on it.
What kind of ideas can we see kind of come out of this dialogue?
So what we're doing a lot of things with putting our players, letting them talk to one another, letting us talk to them as a group, you know, not just, obviously I talked to my team when it happened, and I listened to my team when it happened and was feeling them, but Chase has done a great job of bringing Darren and all of our coaches involved and gotten with, but so we're going to continue to fight because I don't want to just let it be fresh for 2-3 weeks and then it's dead. That's been what's happening. You know, we'll protest, then it's over. But now I think people are listening, and if you look at it, it's like Rainbow Coalition protesting. A lot of white people, a lot of brown people, a lot of religious, ethnic people, which is great. And just listening to I was listening to the race car drivers coming over. They united with Bubba, so that's fantastic. You know,
Coach, with the dialogue opening and seemingly there's more of a spotlight here, do you see an opportunity for more African-American coaches to be head coaches, to be administrators, to be involved in the NCAA more so than we're seeing now?
And we don't have enough. We have a lot of great minds that's not being shown and not given the opportunity. And I hope it's not for color, but it needs to be a lot more than it is. I'll just leave it like that. You know, it definitely needs to be a lot more, especially on the administration side and the coaching side. I was, looking at different articles at some of the Power Fives, where you got one or two. It should be a lot more than that.
Coach, what were your players saying, and what was kind of your dialogue back and forth with them?
Well, just, we got into deep depth conversations. I called every one of them individually. I didn't do it as a group. I wanted to hear what they say individually, what they say to me, what were they feeling, and just listen to them. And then I chimed in and tell them some of my experience. Obviously, I'm older, so I've been through a lot more than they have. And then how can we help? What can we do when they get back here? One, we're going to all register to vote. You know, we're going to register to vote, and we're going to try to make change around campus and in the community. But we live in a diverse community down here. Obviously, it's mostly 90% Hispanic, you know, so we might not run into it as much down here as we do worldwide from where a lot of those guys are from.
Coach Hill, this past week was the Juneteenth celebration nationwide. It seemed like it got a lot more recognition this year than maybe previous years. And maybe if people aren't familiar where Edinburgh is, it's in the very south part of Texas, as you mentioned, near the Mexico border, but really not all that far from Galveston, Texas, which is the genesis of where the Juneteenth celebration is. Did you see a lot more attention given to Juneteenth, in particular in Edinburgh this year?
I didn't. A little bit. I didn't know, you know, I haven't noticed it a lot around here, but around the nation it was given. I didn't know about Juneteenth. I went to junior college in Pasadena. So that was the first time I found out about Juneteenth, you know, when I was 18 years old.
Coach, I have one question. Obviously, being a basketball coach and with NBA players coming out and talking about not wanting to play because of they're trying to really get this issue pushed, what are your thoughts on this with the platform that they have?
Oh, I think they're doing a great job, but I think you could do both. I think you could play and get the message out. But everybody's different, you know what I mean? Everybody's different. But me, being who I am at my age, I think you could do both. I think you could play. Now, if they don't want to play for the pandemic, I get that. But you could still play and get your message across. But for those who don't want to play and get their message across, I respect that as well.
And then I guess, Coach, I have kind of a broad question. And obviously, this has been going on for years. But what do you really think was different about George Floyd's death that really sparked this revolution to come together?
He was murdered right on TV. I mean, usually you might see a tussle here and there on other people you didn't see anything, you know, and you just seen a man, what was it, 8 minutes and 46 seconds, I think. I don't remember the exact number. But to me, if you just a human being, no matter what color you are, just to watch that film, and you know, I got a 10-year-old daughter, and she's seen it, you know, because it's all over. My 15-year-old seen it. Then I got to answer questions, you know. But that was a horrific act that shouldn't be forgiven by anyone, you know. And I think that's what the problem was this time. I think that was the big uproar. But it was a lot of other people within the last few months that leading up to that was killed as well.
Mm-hmm. As a father, what did you say to your kids?
It's funny because obviously they're growing up a lot different than I am. You know, being from New York, seeing a lot of different things. But just explain to them that all cops aren't bad, but it's about 5 or 10% that's bad. We got to get them out of there. They shouldn't even be hired. We got to do a better job of hiring them and checking their backgrounds and then putting them through training, you know, and those type of things. You know, I have relatives and really good friends that are cops. That's awesome, you know. So it was funny. I'll give you a little story. Yesterday, we were coming back from Austin and our car broke down, and it was a white couple that helped us. And I explained to them that was a great time. That was a great learning for them to let them know, see, everybody's not like that. We have beautiful white people. We have beautiful Hispanic people. We have beautiful Black people that don't have hate in their hearts. And so that was a great learning experience for them at that time. And then I took advantage of that, me and my wife, of course, to let them know that.
Coach, how's the car doing? Are you going to be up and running again there?
I had to buy a new battery this morning. Had to buy a new battery.
Well, Coach, we certainly want to thank you for taking some time out, shedding some light on the issues that we've been seeing in our country, in particular the past month or so, and look forward to seeing you hopefully on the court here in October, in November, and eventually in Las Vegas next year.
Man, that would be awesome because we live in this day-to-day world right now. We live in a chaotic world. We don't know what's happening from day to day, from moment to moment. So hopefully we get back to some normalcy soon, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach, stay safe. We really do appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. See you guys later. Y'all be safe out there, okay?
All right, that is Lou Hill from UTRGV. Coming up next, we're going to have Rachel's interview with Nick Gonzalez, the Pittsburgh Pirates' number 7 overall pick. You're listening to the WAC Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the WAC Podcast. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And check out our website at wacsports.com.